Welcome to the demo of Beatwave, an app by Collect3. This is a pattern sequencer that you can get on the App Store. This is universal for iPhone and iPad. I'll be demoing the Pro version. This has all of the in-app purchases available. We start with the grid. This is the grid. Here, if you tap, this will pop up where you can select your different sounds, your mix, special effects, sound effects, tuning, and various settings for the grid. You have 4 instrument lanes for which you can create patterns. As I said, you can select sounds here. Here you can play with the mix of the particular channel that you're on. That's this instrument, number 1. We're on Dreamer, which is an instrument. You can set various effects that are built into each particular sound. On top of that, you can add special effect. By here, you've got 3 available per instrument. You can reset to none, delay, degrade, filter, wah, echo, echo, echo. Leslie, which is the rotating speaker effect associated with Hammond organs, but Leslie is its own speaker company, or was. Tremolo, chorus, chorus, chorus. Low pass, high pass, overdrive, funhouse, which is pretty crazy sometimes, depends on the instrument you selected, and detune. The tuning, you can change octave and speed of this particular track. On the drums, you can actually have it create its own drum pattern, and there's a morpher. So the generator is for drum patterns. The morpher is for basically generative music. It creates its own patterns for the melodies. So under the morpher, you've got controls for multiplier, strength, off or on. On the settings page at the bottom, you can select it and go to the Beat Store, which is where you can get your upgrades, more instruments. There is a built-in tutorial. You can change the interior and how the colors affect the grids. You have grid label, which is, to me, very important. We'll get back to that. And then this background star field I turned off. Scrolling down, you see shake, play on touch. This is very important when you're wanting to select your instruments, where you can just tap the grid and get the sound. I'm not too concerned with cover art source, etc., etc. It associates art with each song. Anyway, and here's your other stuff. Make sure you rate it if you like it. So here was this for settings. This is for your files, your songs, whether you want a new one, open an existing one, or save the current one. It will assign a name, the compendium, or you can change it when you create a song. This is for the mixer, and this is for recording ringtones, etc. Tap this for the main mixer. This will show the master. Okay, you've got your overall master volume and your master reverb, your tone. Okay, this sets your key. You can change this to various keys. Here's your tempo. You can scroll this back and forth. You can do the tap tempo. And shuffle adds a little something to each. Yeah, depending on how high you set it up. You have to play with that. Now this shows your overall mixer, all 4 channels. So remember we were on Dreamer. This shows it here with its various effects. Here's another channel with Massive, which is kind of a string sound. 3 bunk. This is a bass sound, and over here I have my drums on channel 4. It's arbitrary. You can assign any instrument to any of the tracks. For the recorder, now this is for, you can create ringtones as well as record a performance. I think it's better to use something such as Audio Bus or Inter-App Audio to record your tunes for your highest fidelity, as this will export a M4A or MP3 type file. Now to the grid. Tap here. These are notes. It just played 3 notes. I mentioned the grid label. When you tap on that, I like to have both set. You can either have notes set on the left-hand side, the type of drum, or none. Get back to the mixer. Now on an individual channel, or now on the master again. We've looked at all that. I don't know why I brought this back, sorry. Okay, back on the grid, da-da-da, da-da, da-da. Like my sound effects? You're going to hear it in the background anyway. So each grid is 16 this way by 18. Normally these pattern sequences are 16 by 16. Beatwave offers 2 extra lines for kick and snare. I don't typically use these, as I'm used to, well, newly, but used to a 16 by 16 pattern. These can be useful though, but each lane of the 4 instruments has these. Also, this is 1 beat, okay, so made up of 4. This is the 2nd beat, 3rd beat, 4th beat. So 4 beats in a measure, 4/4 time. They're all stuck with this. However, each of these patterns can have up to 4 of these grids patterns, 4 bars. So this is really 1 bar. You can slide this over for 2. We'll get back to that. Up here you see I tapped here and I got this message. You have just added a new pattern. Patterns let you save and restore the grid on the current layer. Swipe left on a pattern to delete it. What I found this useful for is maybe for a performance. You can have multiple patterns within one group, and we'll explain groups up here in just a second. Back to the grid, as you can see now, down here, we're on the 2nd pattern, the 2nd bar. If you highlight, which I can't demonstrate explain everything, but if you use 2 fingers to highlight, you can actually highlight various notes and move them around. And again, you notice we're on the 2nd bar. Now, we're over here on the bass, okay, and we're just laying in a pattern. Just point it out a little bit more. On the drums, as you can see, I have the grid names on, so it tells you which of the drum type sounds you're going to get. And again, even though it's a drum pattern, we still get the kick and drum that's line 17 and line 18 of each of the various groups. So now we're getting a sophisticated pattern built. We've got various instruments selected. We've got a nice pattern. Let's click on this group right here. That takes us to this main screen. Here you have your 4 instruments. Here you have your play control. Here is a group, and then you can have various groups. So your 4 bars that we put in, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think that's 4, it might be 2. 1 bar, 1 bar. This is where they are, and you tap here to edit. Now I've made a 2nd bar. Now if I play this, it will just play continuously, okay? This setting up here will control how many times it'll play through, and it'll tell it to keep playing continuously to the next one.